please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18. Well, sources have told CNBC TV18 that HDFC Bank's fundraising plan is likely to get the cabinet nod soon. Sapna Das joins in with more details. Sapna, over to you.
Well, we are clearly getting to understand that the cabinet nod for the HDFC Bank's fundraising plans is expected anytime now. The expectation has been that probably it may come as early in this cabinet, in today's cabinet. However, if not in today's cabinet, we have been given to understand that probably by next week this matter should be over. Now, just to give a bit of a perspective on this, basically it's a huge fundraising plan by HDFC, which the decision had been taken by the company at least 5 to 6 months ago. Since it basically involves an investment of about 5,000 crores, which will also involve foreign investors potentially, that's the reason why the cabinet nod is required. So it's basically a technicality from the government's point of view. The second aspect that we have been given to understand also is that probably the government just wants to make sure that in terms of the the fundraising plan, the bank stays within the overall FDI limit of 74% for the banking sector. So this is what it is. So expected in today's cabinet. If not today's cabinet, then probably in the next cabinet.
Well, Mahindra & Mahindra's market share in the utility vehicles has touched the lowest ever mark in May. Utkarsh Chaturvedi joins us with more details on the same. Utkarsh.
Well, M&M's market share dipped to the lowest ever in the month of May. The market share stood at around 23.5%, which is the worst ever. In the last financial year, the company ended with around 25% market share. In the month of April as well, the company did around 25%. But Maruti continued to be the leader last year. In fact, Jan, Feb, March, if you see, Maruti was the leader. Mahindra was the leader. But, if you look at the whole financial year, Maruti ended up as a numero uno position after many years of dominance by Mahindra in the UV space. Also a lot of impact coming in from the Tata Nexon, as the Tata Nexon is now taking around 7% market share in the space. Jeep Compass also showing some impact, taking 2% market away. But remember that going ahead, Mahindra has 3 important products launched in the festive season, and that will be important. And Maruti will be launching the new Vertiga. So clearly this whole game of number 1 position in the UV market we started last year will continue, and it will be interesting of who ends up first this time in this financial year.
Okay, thank you, Utkarsh, for that. But let's talk about some more stocks that will be in focus today. Sun Pharma, India's largest drug maker, has received the Establishment Inspection Report from the US FDA for its crucial Halol facility, indicating a closure of inspection. Ekta joins us with more details on that. Ekta, good morning. What does it mean for the company, and was it already factored in the price?
Well, this is an issue which has been going on from September of 2014 for Sun Pharmaceuticals. Remember, for the Halol facility, where majority of their 100 pending ANDAs are filed from, which is basically new drugs which are filed from, are from the Halol facility. Also important drugs such as Zelpros as well as Ellipsia, which Spark would be directly associated with, would probably see the light of day because of this EIR. Now, why do I say that? Is because just last week we had reported that the US FDA had updated the site to a VAI status, which is a voluntary action indicated status, which means that the Sun Pharma just needs to remediate the plant in terms of the latest observations they got, and most likely the US FDA would be okay with that. Now, the surety, or the 100% surety that the US FDA probably doesn't have an issue with this plant, has come in with an EIR, or an Establishment Inspection Report. Now, EIR can contain adverse observations as well, but in this case, Sun Pharma has clarified, saying that the issues contained in the warning letter in 2015 are addressed in this EIR, and hence this means that this is a closure of the inspection. So now, just to put the nail in the coffin, it would be an approval from Halol that the street would look out for, but most likely we should see upside in both Spark and Sun Pharma.
All right, Ekta, but what about the macro data that came late last evening?
Well, you know, I just want to concentrate on the CPI data because that was really worrying in terms of the core inflation. So most of the economists are now worried that maybe the core inflation is hardening and that the RBI could possibly move on rates as soon as August. So, for example, the core inflation came in at around 6.1, 6.2% as compared to 5.9% the previous month. So there was hardening despite the fact that the headline index was still a sub 5% figure. Food inflation also hardened to above 3% versus around 2.8% in the previous month. So that too was saw significant hardening, but core inflation would probably be the key worry point. And remember that key factors such as an MSP change would be something that would probably affect inflation going forward, something that economists are watching out for closely. But nonetheless, just based on this core inflation, I think the street would be a little worried.
Okay, Ekta, thank you so much for joining us with that perspective. But it is time now for a quick break. Up next, TCS to mull share buyback on June 15. What is the street expecting? We tell you when we return after this.
Well, a major decision to boost, in fact, affordable housing, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs has approved the revision of carpet area of houses eligible for interest subsidy. Abhishek's with us this morning to tell us how this could impact the housing finance companies. Abhishek, over to you.
Good morning, Nigel. So what the ministry has stated is that the carpet area under coverage under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana for MIG2 category has been increased to 200 square meter from 150 square meter earlier. So that is an increase of 30%. Now remember that MIG2 category are for people who have an income of anywhere between 12 to 18 lakh per annum. And the interest subsidy, however, on the scheme remains the same at 3%. This is a positive move for housing finance companies who have been seeing incremental flow into their book coming in from affordable housing like HDFC Limited, Indiabulls Housing, DHFL and Group Finance. However, one key important point to note is that we had the management of Group Finance speaking to us some time back saying that not much of payment is coming from the government on the subsidy schemes. So therefore, the increase in area, according to my view, will actually increase the burden for the government as the ticket sizes go up. Back to you.
Okay, Abhishek, thank you so much for that. Let's take a look how the Hang Seng market has opened as well as what Shanghai is doing. Early in the morning, we had seen that there was a tad bit of green tech, though the HDFC Nifty was suggesting a tad bit of pullback. So let's pull up the Hang Seng and Shanghai if we can of how they are doing this morning. Okay, so Shanghai is open around 0.5% lower, though Nikkei is trading 0.2% higher. Hang Seng as well a bit tepid, down about 160 points. The HDFC Nifty, as we were telling you earlier, is suggesting a downtick of around 24 points. So a bit of mixed use coming from Asia. Let's see how that progresses. But let's talk about some more stock that will be in focus today. The TCS board will meet on Friday to consider a proposal to buy back shares. Reema Tendulkar joins us with more details on that. Reema, good morning. What does it mean for the stakeholders?
Well, of course, positive when money gets returned back to the shareholders. So as you rightly pointed out, on the 15th of this month, TCS will consider a buyback. The company's paid-up equity as well as free reserves is close to about 85,000 crore rupees, which means a 10% buyback would put the total buyback size as 8,500 crore. If they go ahead with the shareholder approval, then the buyback size can go up to 25%, which would be around that 21,000 crore mark. This 21,000 crore that we're talking about is roughly about 3% of the company's outstanding equity. Promoter holding is at 72%, and like we saw last year, promoters, at least the expectation is they will participate because this is the cash cow for Tata Sons, and Tata Sons does need the money for its other group companies. This will also be the second buyback from TCS. In fact, just last year, TCS had done a big buyback. It was a 16,000 crore buyback at a price of 28.50, which was at an 18% premium to where the stock was trading at that point, roughly about 2.8% of the outstanding equity. The company has been returning, cash back to the shareholders. Shareholders, in fact, have wanted money back from all these IT companies because they generate so much cash, and returns have been coming down from, the pure business itself. So TCS last year returned close to about 27,500 crore rupees. But in additional important business news for the company, they have extended their partnership with M&G Prudential, which is a UK-based insurance company. This deal was announced in January of this year, but at that point, the scope of the deal was close to about $700 million. Now, this scope has been expanded to include close to about another $650 million. So the total deal size would now be in excess of $1.2 billion, spread over 10 years. So a big positive coming in for TCS and the kind of business it's doing. And even the management has sounded optimistic about FY19. So this deal win, this expansion of deal win only reiterates that optimism.
All right, Rima, but in a major push, Reliance Jio has also revised most of its existing prepaid recharge plans. Run us through details there.
Yes, the tariff war continues to escalate, so they've gone aggressive again. Reliance Jio has announced an additional 1.5 GB of data per day on all its bundled prepaid plans. Now, this is a limited period offer, which means you need to recharge before the 30th of June. Now, it's across all its prepaid plans, but we're just giving an example. Now, the entry-level plan for Reliance Jio's prepaid is 149 rupees for 28 days. Earlier, it was offering you 1.5 GB per day. Now, it will give you 3 GB per day. So, the price of 1 GB per data has come down to as low as 1 rupee 77 paise. And just, a year and a half ago, that price was as high as 10 rupees. Not just that, the company is also offering a cash back. So, there will be an additional 100 rupee discount on all recharges above 300. And if it's a below 300 rupee recharge, then you're getting a 20% buyback. Now, this move by Reliance Jio is to counter some of the recent moves by Bharti Airtel. So, Bharti Airtel had gone quite aggressive. For instance, the same 149 plan that we're talking about, Bharti very recently had revised the data offering from 1 GB to 2 GB, which means it was higher than what Jio was offering, which is at 1.5 GB. Now, Jio has gone ahead and raised that to 3 GB of data per day. So, the data war is only hotting up. Positive for consumers, but I guess it just spells bad news for incumbent players like Bharti, Idea and Vodafone. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Rima. Well, time to slip into a short break. You come back, we'll tell you all the cues that are coming in from the derivatives.
Welcome back. Well, Mangalam joined us earlier to tell us a whole host of stocks that will be in focus, as well as a lot of market cues. He joins us back to detail out how the cues are looking like from the F&O space. Mangalam, back to you.
Well, Anisha, tell you what, the FIs, they have been doing a thing of their own, because yesterday they sold about, 1,200 crores in the cash markets. They sold about 500 crores in the index futures, while the markets ended at the high point of the day. And they sold about 850 crores in index options. Majority of that was in index puts. So that's telling you that maybe the downside is protected. What happens is something that we need to watch out for in trade, because the FIIs, while the Nifty ended at the high point of the day, added close to 7,150 shorts in index futures and added close to 12,000 shorts in index puts. So maybe the upside could face some headwinds and the downside is protected. So that's telling you that the market could be in a bit of a range. Over the last 3 trading sessions, they've added close to 30,000 shorts in index puts. So where were the puts written? Well, they were written at the 10,800 mark for a premium of 90 rupees and 10,700 mark for a premium of 60 rupees. That's telling you 10,650 to 10,700 is an important support zone for our markets. Watch out for Just Dial, that enters the F&O band, and all the pharmaceutical stocks, they have seen fresh long build up.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Mangalam. Well, on that note, we'll wrap up on Power Breakfast. Bazaar Morning Call comes up next.